What's going on, fellas? Welcome to the Get Your Shift Together Men's Podcast. Today, our guest is Jeremy Anderson. That's right. The preacher slash business owner. The dude is killing the game. We're going to talk about how he went from a minister to a 7-figure business owner. Let's get this thing.
To the Get Your Shift Together Men's Podcast with your host, Dr. Myron Edmonds.
All right, fellas, we're here. We back in the building. Welcome to the Get Your Shift Together Men's Podcast, helping brothers to win in the things that matter. And, of course, I'm joined by the squad. We got the full, well, not so much the full squad, but almost the full squad here today. In the building, Jason. Not a DJ walk no more. Kymone Hines. This dude trying to change his brand now. Kymone. He want to be just Jason.
Jason. That's right, man. First name only. First name only.
Jason.
Anyway, listen. Before we jump in and get into some little banter with these guys, we got much to talk about today. I got to take an opportunity right now to share with you, brothers, what I think is the biggest thing that we've done with the podcast, biggest thing we've done with the Winning Circle, and that is the 10,000 Praying Men event that's going to be happening on January the 8th, 2023. I'm taking a deep breath because this is huge. At 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, the website, fellas, for you to register to be a part of this massive prayer meeting. Essentially, I mean, if you're a church person, this is a prayer meeting. If you are not super religious, this is the biggest empowerment motivational summit that can happen at one time. We got 10,000 that's going to be in the virtual space with the likes of Eric Thomas, the hip hop preacher. Who else we got, Kymone? We got Barry Black, Chaplain Barry Black.
Chaplain of the U.S. Senate.
Yeah. And he was a chaplain over all the brothers in the Navy too. He's big time. And a bunch of other motivational, inspirational people. So you want to be a part of this movement. That's what it is. Yeah. It's a straight up movement. Go to the website.
What I like about it, Myron, isn't just
prayingmen.com. I'm sorry. Yeah. www.10kprayingmen.com for the brothers that's listening. www.10kprayingmen.com. That's the sponsor for today. The 10,000 Praying Men event is this. That's where you need to be at the beginning of the year. Go ahead, Jay. Kymone.
Well, what I like about it is not just for brothers who the prayer warriors. I know how to pray. It's for brothers who say, listen, I need prayer. And if you say, I need prayer, I know I need it. You got to be at this. So make sure you sign up.
That's a fact.
Man, Jason is both of those. I don't know if you know that, but Jason is he's a man who needs prayer. So I got to tell you a story real quick. So
let's do it.
Kymone, we're getting ready to open up our new building. And, we're having meetings trying to determine when we're going to open. And so we had 2 date possibilities. Now, Jason's wife is on the church board. And so for whatever reason, this dude be always texting me like he be in these meetings. He be eavesdropping in the meetings, listening to his wife. So he go text me, talk about, listen, we need to open up on this date. It was like the sooner date. He was like, I need to get to the altar. I need to get to the altar. I need to get to the altar. And I'm like, what? What do you mean, man? No, man, some of us, we need church, man. I'm with all that virtual stuff, man. I need to get to the altar. Now, Jason is Kojic. He was raised Kojic. So he needs the altar, but he can slay some people in the spirit on the altar too.
You got to cheat, Jason?
Where's the lie?
There's no lie in that, man. I was raised Pentecostal, Church of God in Christ, a.k.a. Kojic. We believe in tarrying on the altar. Jesus. That's what we believe in, man. I'm just like, virtual church is cool, but, there's nothing like being amongst the saints, man. You want to be in the house. You want to go to church. And Myron's trying to prolong this thing, and I'm just like, let's get in the church. Open up the doors of the church, man. Let's get this thing going. But I'm going to fall in line with my shepherd, per se, and I'm going to go ahead and go with
That's
his
right, man. You need to submit. You need to
off.
submit to leadership. That's what they teach in coaching too, bro.
Yeah.
You need to follow order.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
Hey,
All
listen,
right,
man.
Jay,
Do y'all
look,
know what
man,
today is?
What's today?
The day that we're recording this, man. This is the 4th day of Kwanzaa. Actually, this is the 3rd. It's Ujamaa, cooperative economics. Y'all brothers celebrate Kwanzaa?
Yeah, oh yeah, brother. I'm celebrating it, man. I'm all in. I'm all in, man.
Listen. We gotta celebrate Kwanzaa.
Yeah.
Myron and I live in a Jewish community per se. Cleveland Heights has a lot of Jewish neighbors. We have a lot of Jewish neighbors. And let me tell you something. I was just laughing about this with my friend. They go hard for Hanukkah, man. They go hard. I mean, they roll up and down the streets with like trucks with like menorahs on the trucks, and Hanukkah candles are lit up on the streets. They go extra hard for Hanukkah. So I think that we need to put that effort into celebrating our Black Kwanzaa. You know what I'm saying? We got to give it up, man. So yes, we're celebrating Kwanzaa around here. Baby, like the candles. It's like DJ Khaled said, baby, like the candles. You know. We got to celebrate.
We need to get in this topic because I'm really anxious to hear in the middle of our podcast today that these man laws are going to be coming out of this holiday season. You said a lot of foolishness, man, lately. I'm telling you, I ain't on these man laws. I don't keep them. I allow you to share them, but I don't keep them. I have ice cream cones. I wear slides with no socks on, just like you're hypocritical behind it. But anyway, look, y'all, I'm excited, fellas. Today we got business mogul Jeremy Anderson, and his story is cool. And I got to set this up. His story is cool because Jeremy is a dude who, I mean, we all know, like, was a minister. He was evangelist. Like, I would say he was a missionary. Like, him and his wife, they traveled and just preached.
Yeah.
Like, and they would raise money when they would go to the churches. They get the love offering. I mean, that's how him and his wife quit their jobs, man. They quit she had a state job. He was a social worker. Them dudes quit their jobs, gathered up a team of people, and they literally just went all over the country preaching places. Like, I know they came to Cleveland, and that's what they were doing for some years. And then he said they transitioned out of that. And then he's now in a place where he has a 7-figure business teaching people how to be motivational speakers. It's truly an amazing story. So anyway, he is our guest, and we're going to hear a little bit about his story, his journey. And fellas, honestly, y'all need to leave. If you have a business idea, or if you're a business owner, or if you're in ministry, or if you just have a dream, and maybe the other thing is maybe you don't even know what you want to do, but you feel like there's something that you ought to be doing different than what you're doing right now. You want to check this out.
This sacrifice, and it's almost like the church wasn't even ready to fully embrace it. And so, I wasn't smart enough to say we're going to transition. God just shut that thing off.
Okay, so you're in a transition at this point. You were really going hard. I'd say, I use this term, dude. Y'all were on some missionary type stuff.
Yeah,
for real. That's exactly what y'all did. I mean, anybody who quits their job and just goes and pursues ministry, starts traveling the world, that's what we call a missionary. You know what I'm saying? I don't care whether you're in the United States or whatever. So the missionary phase, in many respects, living by faith, giving, radically, in this obedience phase, right? Still an obedience phase, but just the radicalness of it, man, really stands out. And a lot of brothers need to hear that. Like, there are seasons in your life where God is going to call you. It's not always a come up per se, but it's just a season of, look, man, we just doing what God told us to do. Even you, and here's what's crazy. You did not, this is my first time actually hearing you say this. I guess I knew it, but I didn't. Like, you didn't have no gate. Where you are right now, you didn't see that. You didn't see that.
Mm-mm.
Did you? Okay, you didn't have like a 10-year plan for next level, like, and you saw the Speakers Academy and all this stuff, and no plan for that. Okay, transition. What happened in the transition when the Grace Tour ended and your missionary phase, so to speak, came to an end? Where were you psychologically, family, in that transition phase? What happened?
I think this is important to share. One key to my success is that Tracy and I, that's my wife, for those that don't know, we were in one accord. So we just learned early on, we don't make no decisions if we're not in one accord.
So
let me just first share that part, because I don't want some cats to go to their wife and be like, hey, babe, we got to do this. And then you mad because she might not have the faith that my wife had, but you might not be spiritually mature to where I am for her to even say, okay, let me quit my job. So I want to just share that, right? Because you got to be a certain type of person to have a certain type of wife that says, okay, I'm going to quit my job working for the government with healthcare benefits and everything else to take this journey with you. Like, she saw something inside me. And so I do want to say that. So when we transitioned, I kind of looked at my website, you know, my personal speaking website, and I had 3 tabs: churches, schools, corporate. And ET reached out to me. Shout out to the big homie. And Dr. Eric Thomas was like, bro, you look like a handyman. I could speak at your church. I could speak at your school. I could speak for your company. He's like, choose one lane and just dominate that lane, and then watch how your gifts will make room for you in other places. And so the first thing I cut from my website was corporate, because the corporate gigs didn't come as easy and frequently. But when it came to speaking in schools and churches, it was like 50-50, but I still had to make a decision. And so for me, I always ask myself, how can I make the biggest impact? Listen to me, bro. And all the men listening and watching, every decision I make, I ask myself, how can I make the biggest impact? Not the most money, right? The biggest impact. And so I realized if I speak for a church, I'm thinking like, okay, if the average church has 500 members, which we know it doesn't, the average church in America actually has like 112 members. But let's just say I get invited to nice sized churches. And let's just say I get invited on a Saturday and a Sunday, right? So I'm hitting the Adventist church on Saturday, First Day Baptist churches, non-denominational on Sunday, right? So that's 1,000 people I reached. You times that times 4, because let's imagine I'm booming, Metro booming. I'm my calendar booked up. I done reached 4,000 people every single month. Watch this. When I leave, their pastor is still there to shepherd them. So I'm like, okay, mental note, 4,000 people, if it's really, really booming. But then I got invited to one school when I was in this transition in California. Bro, they had 3,500 high school students.
Right. Yeah.
I said, one school, one opportunity, I can reach 3,500 people, and they ain't got people showing up on a regular basis speaking life. They ain't got people showing up sharing their story. They ain't got people saying you ain't got to cut yourself. You ain't got to be sleeping around to find love and value. Even though your father's not in your life, you still have value. You still have love. You still have a virtue. You know what I'm saying? They ain't got nobody else saying you ain't got to be on the corner. They ain't got somebody showing up on a regular basis saying, yes, I failed. I made mistakes, but I bounced back. I caught up with my right grade. I went to college. I stopped living that crazy lifestyle. I went to grad school and got my master's degree. Now I'm a published author. If I can do it and my biological father wasn't in my life, you can do it too. They ain't got nobody on a regular basis showing up. So God showed me it's way more people for you to reach. That industry is way more ripe. That soil is super fertile because ain't nobody really out there like that. And you can reach way more people. So I instantly said, I'm putting all my focus, my website, my branding into speaking and being the voice for this next generation of young people. Now, I still get invitations to preach for churches, but I realized like I'm going to put my branding behind schools. And when I did that, bro, I can't explain it to you, man, but things took off.
Wow. That one pivot right there.
Yeah. That one pivot right there. And for the next, I don't know how many years, I just got really, really dominant in that space. And then I continued to grow. And so I created the next level teaching program and a podcast for teachers. I'm just fully giving myself to this. Then I created the next level student video series, and where I'm empowering students in personally, live, but also virtually, and resources. Then I created the next level student curriculum. Well, now we got, matter of fact, I got some of the copies. I got some of the copies right here. Now we got next level students curriculums in schools all across America. So the message that God has given me, I ain't got to be here live. I can put that in written material that can reach these kids all over the country. And so everything I'm doing is like, how can I make the biggest impact? How can I bless as many people as possible? And it just kind of grew and evolved from there. And then I looked up and I realized like, man, I'm the #1. And I say this humbly, but there ain't nobody else that's speaking to my level that can demand the amounts that I demand in the high frequency on a regular basis. That speaks to students and teachers, and they got books and curriculums in schools across the country like me. And when I realized that, I was just like, wow. And so after 10 or so years of speaking, I decided through some counsel to create our Speakers Academy. And that's how we kind of evolved from there.
It's funny how you on each of the occasions where you made a major pivot, actually, as I'm listening to you, there's some consistency here. Doggett gave you advice. You moved in one direction, right? Then you got advice from ET saying, look, dude, you need to really hone in and focus. You all over the place. And then you just said you got counsel again in the next area. Talk to the brothers, man, about the importance of that aspect of how that has guided you. Because, I mean, we hear you talking about God and stuff like that, and we know God speaks, but it also sounds like, man, some human beings like gave you like some tools and helped you navigate.
He speaks to us through them. I would probably say it's 50-50. Sometimes when I hear the voice of God, of course, it's not audible, but I can feel his presence. It's like when I'm having my quiet time, 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock in the morning, I feel hella convicted. He's like, okay, this is what I want you to do. It's crystal clear. Sometimes he speaks through people. So, the word of God says that there is safety in the multitude of counsel, meaning you put yourself in a really safe and secure position when you seek counsel from multiple people. And you got to always consider the source, right? So I'm not just seeking counsel from anybody. I want to talk to those who are dominant in their space, who are super successful in their space. And one of the first persons I took advice from, bro, was you. I'll never forget when I first started speaking and preaching in churches and doing youth programs, you sat me down and said, hey, bro, just do this here. You said, never make your wife feel like she's in competition with the ministry. Bro, you told me that 13 years ago. And I remember it like it was yesterday. And ever since then, I'm always intentional to make sure I'm putting in that time with my girl, because my family don't come second to nobody. But it causes me to be disciplined for that. So I took the counsel from you. I took the counsel from Dr. Doggett. I took the counsel from Mama Pat Simmons, my spiritual mother. Praise God for her. I took the counsel from ET. And then CJ, his right-hand man, he the one for a year and a half was like, bro, you got to write a curriculum. You got to write a curriculum. You can't speak in every school in America, but you can have your curriculum in every school in America. So then I got with Dr. Joel Boyce. Shout out to Dr. Boyce. He went to Oakwood. He's a curriculum expert. I got with him and Ryan Manning. Shout out to my brother Ryan. They built out our curriculum framework. I hired on 10 different high-level educators. Shout out to Mason West. Come on, man. I surround myself with giants. I surround myself with greats. And now we built out a K through 12 character curriculum. So throughout the process, I'm always sitting at the feet of people to a point to where my wife was like, man, you always getting people's advice. I said, babe, come here. That's why we winning. That's why we winning. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, we ain't going to get their advice because I don't know. But you know what I'm saying? I want to lean not to my own understanding. And I measure twice. I'm a carpenter at heart. I measure twice and cut once. I measure twice, then I cut. Because once you cut, you can't take the cut back. You feel me? And so I really govern my life with that. And most people I know, I've got some loved ones, some people I love dearly, some blood relatives who are not winning in life because of pride. Because of pride. They feel like they got it all. And when they do ask for a little advice and you give it to them, they want to do things their own way. And it breaks my heart. And I'm like, bro, but you failing. You barely getting by. You've been in survival mode for the last 10 years, right? But everybody want to do it their own way. And so when I try the Yah ways, that's when I start winning. You feel me? And God in my life. And that took me to a whole nother level. So again, I for years, I tried it my way and it wasn't working. But when I tried the Yah ways, you know what I'm saying? And he began to guide me and he gave me counsel. And then I looked at these people who were giving me advice. There were times I did not agree with CJ. There were times I did not agree with ET. You know what I'm saying? There were times I was like, I'm not really feeling that. That worked for you, maybe not for me. But I had to ask myself, are they winning? Are they successful? Have they been there and done that? Have they given me any reason to question them? Okay, so Jerry, get out your own way. Bro, I was in self-sabotage mode for years. Captive, a slave to my own thoughts. And I got to the point where I was like, I want to win. And so
that's good.
Like, whoever you put in front of me, I'm going to seek that counsel and I'm going to execute the plan. And story of my life, bro.
Man, that's so good. Let's shift gears now. The business. I want you to paint a picture because we discussed like in our pre-conversation, like really where we want to like in this conversation, right? But I want you to paint a picture first of what Next Level is doing right now. I want you to paint the picture of success of what God has done for your business right now, where you're at right now, what favor, if you will, God has given you, what operations you guys have going on. Talk a little bit, because I think it's important for brothers to hear You know what I'm saying? Like the success. Let's talk. What is winning looking like for you right now?
Can I share one thing before I share that?
Yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely.
I want to just share because I don't want to Instagram. I don't want to Instagram the brothers. You know what I mean? When I say Instagram, I don't want to just give the highlights. Yeah. Can I just talk for a minute about the years of marriage counseling?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Can I just talk about?
We was going there. We was going there.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. No, we going there. We going there. Yeah.
Like the depression. You know what I'm saying? Like the.
Well, go ahead. Have your way. Yeah.
It was. I mean, it was a. Just. I just want the brothers to know before I share this stuff. Like I done got my butt kicked, right? Like I've been purified through the fire. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yes,
I have been pruned, right?
Yeah.
And so when you think about the scripture that says that the husbandman and the gardener will prune, you know what I'm saying? The fruit, the branch that bears fruit, so that it can bear more fruit. It's like, man, why are you going to remove? So I had so much removing from me. So I just do want to let the brothers know that I went through a very painful ordeal throughout this experience. But as we know, weeping may endure for the night, but joy cometh in the morning. I live.
Oh man, listen, this thing is about to get all the way live. We're gonna put a pause in this for a second and do our thing. Look, so before you guys go anywhere, the question we asked Jeremy was like, how did he like really pivot to this, multi-million-dollar business? And what he's doing now is he's talking about all the hell he went through to get there first. So we're gonna come back to that in a minute. But before we do, man, we got to pause right here in this moment, brothers. If you haven't had a chance to, you need to. I'm going to invite you right now, fellas, to sign up for the 10,000 Praying Men event. This event is about to be a game changer. This event is about to change. It's going to be the biggest thing, literally, that we've ever done before, man. And already, I'm excited to keep on because we've connected with so many people who are excited about this. Yeah. You got a message, I think, today from somebody who was just like, people were just rejoicing. Like, this is even a thing. So
this is international, man. We got folks in the islands, folks in Africa, folks in England,
Europe,
all over the U.S., Canada. It's global. So
absolutely. Yep. So, fellas, go to the website, www.10kprayingmen.com, and register right now. It's totally free. This is not for church brothers. It's not for religious people. It's for any brother, man, that needs prayer. That's all. We're just trying to go in the new year different, and we're going and to get what you never got. You got to do what you never done. All right, Jay. I want to hear some man laws, man.
Holiday man laws.
On this, man. Before we get back into this conversation with Jeremy Anderson, we need to pause right now for the man laws. They've been very suspect lately, but let's see what you got today.
Yeah, real quick, man. A little bit of what's bubbling on the block mixed with a man law, a little bit of that all together in one. So everybody knows famous rapper Young Thug, right? Young Thug is his birth name is Jeffrey something, but he's on a RICO case right now. And it seems like his whole world is crashing down. His right man, another rapper by the name of Gunna, I don't know his real name, but very popular guys in the music scene. And it seems like, his world is crashing down because a lot of brothers is snitching on him, man. A lot of snitching going on. Everybody knows that I love battle rap. I watch battle rap a lot. And I just seen a recent event where a guy was exposed in the first round. He brought out the paperwork. You a snitch. And it was a real big thing. So man law, snitching and telling, right? Is there a difference between snitching and telling, right? I think it's a big difference, man. And, we all grew up about, don't tell on nobody, don't snitch on nobody, blase. But, these brothers get in them courtrooms and they think about that girlfriend at home and that mama cooking her nice fried chicken and pork chops. And they think I'm never going to see that again. Let me start telling and snitching so I could get myself this plea and go home. Right? So, man law, do not get yourself in a predicament with another person that you cannot trust to hold you down. That's a good one. Do not do something that you're not able to take on the full weight of the consequences that could come out of your actions. You know, if me and Myron got in a situation,
I'm snitching.
Yeah, Myron is going to snitch. It's snitching. See,
he did it. I had nothing to do with it.
It's a small difference between snitching and telling. And I'm gonna wrap this up.
Okay.
Snitching is when you just point out people. This person did it. That person did it. This person did it. He's responsible for this. He's responsible for that. Telling is kind of when you give an overall synopsis, like okay, yeah, we did this, or yeah, he was involved in that, or yeah, I don't know the guy's name, but I know that he did this. So it's not as specific as pointing people out, right? But there's no doubt in my mind, all these brothers on this podcast, if we got pulled over and something went down, I know Kymone, no, Myron may be the first one to snitch. Kymone might hold it down a little bit.
I'm gonna tell.
Please. Yeah, Kymone might tell on me. Myron gonna snitch on me. So,
Jason, what about you?
Who, me?
If I was the one.
Man, listen. I got a wife. I got kids at home. Yeah. But that's the man law. Do not put yourself in a predicament, man, where you cannot withstand or hold down the full consequences of your actions, man. Do not get yourself around guys that you can't trust, man, because when the ball drops, it's all gonna come out in the end. Somebody gonna be snitching and telling and singing just to save their own hide.
That's real.
That's a good word right there, man. That's a good word.
And listen, change this man's name to Bishop Walker, man. Bishop
Walker. I know.
Go around with people you need to hang with that you can trust. You can really trust. So.
You've been giving a lot of sage advice lately, man. You've been in your word, boy. What you been doing, man? You've been on the altar.
Get yourself in this community, man. You know, the winning circle, and maybe some guys there that hold you down. Maybe some guys there that might snitch on you. So you know, we got
now. I'm in mourning.
Oh man, all right. Hey, look, fellas, that's actually good advice. I didn't know where he was going with that. I thought this was going to be no, Camden, you can't listen to this podcast because he's telling you not to snitch. But that was a good demarcation between snitching and telling, man. Yeah. I like that. That was very good, man. Anyway, fellas, don't forget, if you haven't registered yet, you need to do it while you're on here to be a part of the 10,000 Praying Men. You need to be a part of this movement. www.10kprayingmen.com. We're going back to Jeremy. Fellas, Jeremy, I asked that man basically, man, how did you become a multi-million-dollar business owner?
Look at his face right now. Look at his face.
And he's like, yeah, exactly. His face is kind of like, before I even get there, I need to tell you about all the hell I went through first.
Exactly.
So this is good, man. Let's hear the next section.
I went through that. Rough season where I was like, God, I'm doing everything right. I ain't got no hidden sins in my closet. Like, I'm following your plan, and I'm keep getting these issues. But he was forging something inside me. So now I look up. 42 years old. We got 20 people that work with our organization. Been blessed with a phenomenal staff. We have the Jeremy Anderson Group, and with that, we've got my personal speaking in schools, and I'm transitioning now into corporate and sports teams. So I'm still going to do schools, but I've been serving the youth for a while. I've got a message now for entrepreneurs, for leaders. So I'm transitioning into that leadership space. But I've been able to do that and speak and do 7 figures a year with my eyes closed, right? I also have gotten to where I have a nonprofit, the Next Level Living nonprofit here in the States, and one in South Africa, where we feed 1,000 people per month, young people in the Cape Town area, in the Cape Flats. We just got back from there. I'll tell you about that trip. And we just sponsored 40 kids in college. You know what I'm saying? So it's like God needs me to be wealthy because he know what I'm going to
do. Yeah.
I don't need no Bentley. I don't need no Bugatti. Like, I ain't really on that. You know what I'm saying? But it's like the more God blesses me, the more, I can bless others. And so we also have our Next Level Speakers Academy, and we have our Next Level Speakers Elite program, and then we have a series of conferences that we do every year. So we've got a lot going on, and then we have our Next Level Students Curriculum, which is a whole nother company. So there's a lot. Like, if you're faithful over the few things, God will make you rule over many. Like, he is definitely expanded and enlarged my territory. And I've never thought we'd be making this type of money or this type of impact. And man, when I tell you, brother, I've been blessed with a phenomenal team. And one thing I'm really proud of, man, me and Tracy, we really take care of the people who take care of us. We just spent 2 weeks in South Africa. Had my team there, all our high-level execs, my parents. We was 15 deep. We spent the week in Johannesburg, and I just spoiled them. Then we spent the week in Cape Town. You know what I'm saying? Living in a luxury villa mansion overlooking the ocean with the mountains behind us. Like, I would have never thought. And my team in tears, like spirit-filled. I had one of my Zulu elders, because I've been to South Africa several times. Shout out to you who referred me to Metro Mission years ago. But I've been there probably 10 times since. So I had a Zulu elder come and name each one of my team members and family members and give them their Zulu name. Like, bro, it was a mind-blowing experience. And so when I see like where I am today and what I'm able to experience and accomplish and do for others, it's interesting, you know.
And I think it's incredible, and we've watched it, and obviously those people that are close to you, they know your heart. You know, when it comes to success, I think so much happens with being misunderstood. You know, you look at Deion Sanders and really there's a lot of people are, you know, kind of upset or whatever about him leaving, you know, JSU and going to Colorado. And, you know, you hear so much in our community about when people become successful, it's almost like they attract more criticism or whatever. Jeremy, let's get real for a second, bro. What do you think is the most misunderstood thing about your success, right? And what you have accomplished? And I want to frame this. You already know where I'm going, but I want to frame it for the guys that are listening, because sometimes, especially when and I think the image that I have in my mind, Jeremy, is when you guys are at a hotel in Atlanta and I'm seeing you and your staff baptizing people, right? And I'm just like, people are like, how is he doing ministry and making money? And sometimes people feel like there is an issue. There is almost a shadiness like that comes with being prosperous and being in ministry. You have done a great job, in my opinion, of like showing the world that both can happen. However, I'm sure this doesn't come without misunderstanding or criticism, but what do people misunderstand about you in that context?
You know, honestly, I can make assumptions, but bro, my team protects me from that dodo chatter. I don't even know what people are saying. Can I be honest? I don't even know what people. I mean, I can imagine that they're saying, "Oh, Jeremy's just a businessman and motivational speaker, and he don't preach the word no more." I imagine, but I ain't had nobody come to me and say that. But I will say this, man: those people who criticize Deion,
they won't. They never.
And those people who criticize Deion for leaving, them the same people that ain't did nothing for HBCUs. They're the same people that didn't take into account when they started running their mouth how he gave up millions of dollars and how he paid for stuff and how he enhanced the community. And he went there for 3 years and he told them from the beginning, if an opportunity comes, I'm gonna transition and go to the next level because I'm prime time. So I don't even so those people that might have something to say about me and the work that I'm doing, I don't even see them. I don't even give them energy. But they also don't, and they lives not bearing fruit, because if their lives was bearing fruit, they ain't got time to talk about me. But when you really look at the full scope of what we're doing, when you really look at our community calls, like, bro, we praying on every single call. We got 1,000 people in our Next Level Speakers Academy. The #1 motivational speaker in the world, Pastor Dr. Eric Thomas, saw what we built and said, bro, let's build this thing together. I want to come on board and do this thing with you. That was one of the most, that was the highlight of my 22, that the man of God would see enough in me and our program to say, yo, let's do this thing together. And so I don't even pay the naysayers any attention. I stay focused. I keep my head down and I do what God has called him to do. And you know how they say the proof is in the pudding, right? And so it's like, you can't look at me and say whether or not my life bears fruit. And some of the same people that might criticize, again, I don't know. I might not have no criticizers, but the same people that might criticize, I doubt that they're doing a fraction of what I'm doing. I doubt that they putting kids in college. I doubt that they're feeding thousands of young people every single month. And been doing this for years. I doubt they got 2 different households that's depending on the income that comes through the. I doubt that they got a community of 1,000 people that they're ministering to and praying with. Bro, we didn't plan on doing no baptism. Let me tell you, can I tell you about the baptism? Can I tell you
Yeah.
So we have our Next Level Speakers Academy, right? And we have our annual conference in Atlanta. So where it's like members from the community come in, and then other people who are interested in speaking, whether they want to do corporate, churches, women ministry, men ministry, young people schools, they come in for this conference. So we got about 400 people there in the audience. And I was on my opening message. We downtown at the Marriott Marquis, one of the top hotels in the city, downtown Atlanta. And I'm on stage and I'm sharing my full testimony because so many people in our community look at me like, oh, look at Jeremy, top speaker. He's so successful. He's got the family. He's got the lifestyle.
They don't know the story. They don't know the story. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So God was like, with your opening message, share the story. Talk about the life you were living before you submitted to Christ. Talk about the reset that you hit. Talk about your baptism. Talk about how you began to serve. Talk about the grace tour. So I spent an hour and a half and just walked 400 people through my story and through my experience. And then I told them, I was like, so y'all came here for game. Y'all came here for strategy. Y'all came here for insight of the professional speaking arena. We're going to give that to you. I said, but at the end of the day, you got to know that it's what Jesus did in my life is why I'm here today and why you're here today. And I was just like, and so I said, and so the most important thing I did wasn't a website, wasn't the EPK, wasn't the reel, wasn't marketing. You know what I'm saying? It was me getting in alignment with God. And then I was like, man, shout out to Logan. And that's what all I said, because Logan reached out to me. He's one of my young brothers that's in our community, and he lives in Tennessee. And Logan was like, man, when I come to Atlanta, can you baptize me? So I said, bro, I'd be honored to baptize you. He's like, I want to go all in with God. God has been blessing me, but I need to make it public. So on stage, I just said, yo, Logan, stand up. Logan stood up. I was like, yo, y'all, Logan asked me to baptize him. You know what I'm saying? So Logan will get baptized this weekend. People start clapping. And this is where I messed up and said, I said, look, if anybody wants to come and support Logan with his baptism, we're going to do it on the rooftop tomorrow morning, 6 o'clock. If you want to just be there to support this brother, show up. And so I heard this guy in the background say like, oh. That's what it sounded like. And I was like, huh? And I was about to start praying like, okay, what kind of
what's going on up in here?
Right. He was like a grumble. And so then he walks forward looking crazy with tears coming down his eyes. And I said, what'd you say? He said, I want to be baptized. And I said, ooh. Now it's 400 people. And I'm like, you want to be baptized? I said, come here, brother. He came up. I look up. It's his other lady, light skinned, and she crying. And somebody is walking her down the aisle. Bro, I ain't even gave the appeal yet.
Holy Ghost.
She's like, I need to surrender to God. And so I was like, okay, Holy Ghost, I see what you're doing. This is I see what you're doing. I was like, look, if anybody, you're in a weird place and you just want to admit and say, you know what? Christ, I want to give you my life. Y'all hear my story. Y'all see how he transformed my life. Y'all know my biological father wasn't in my life. Years of drug and alcohol abuse, went to 3 different schools for the 9th grade. Like I know all about failing, but now I'm winning. And the secret to my success is I surrender to Christ Jesus. And if you want to experience that, you want to start this weekend off right, you want to give your life to God and you want to get baptized, I said, join me down front, bro. And over 30 people came down to the stage in tears. And it was a move of God. And we did the baptism that next morning and had to push the whole program back an hour because some extra people showed up to get baptized. And so Freddie Russell, shout out to Freddie Russell, the OG, the man of God, he got wind and called me and said, Jeremy, and y'all, you know, Freddie Russell, you know, was conference president, right? Freddie hit me like, Jeremy, I'm catching wind. Like, what is going on in Atlanta, Georgia? I said, Doc, if you in town, you might need to come to the Marriott. You might need to come and pull up so you can see what God is doing through a knucklehead like me. And so that's how it happened, man. And so it wasn't something we planned to do. But when you're in alignment with God, you know what I'm saying? Don't be surprised. You know
but he's doing it through the business.
Yeah.
I'm saying that part, Jeremy, a lot of people I don't want you to take that for granted, right? Because one of the things you said early on in the conversation, so here we come full circle, right? So early on in the conversation, you were like, look, the Grace Tour came to an end. It came to an end because you said the churches weren't ready, right? I know you have thoughts about this. What we don't even have to go there. But what I'm saying now is you are in business. And a lot of times people psychologically have been taught that business is about profit. That's what I mean. It is about profit. I have a business. My business exists for profit, period. It's not a nonprofit. It's a for-profit, right?
Right.
But even through your business, it seems like God has opened up even more doors for ministry.
Absolutely.
Help people understand that part, Jeremy. Do you follow me? Because I don't want you to take for granted that this is normal. There are a lot of people who have businesses and their businesses are not ministering and changing people's lives on this level. Yeah, my bad. We'll just have to summarize like what he's talking about. But I was intrigued by that because when I look at Jeremy and you've seen him, like here's a guy, you know, there's two ways you can do your business. Like you can be a person of faith who owns a business, right? And those two lines never cross, right? We see that in sports all the time. There's a lot of brothers in sports, people in sports who are believers, but they ain't out there after every game talking about, you know, I want to thank God for this. And, they just are who they are. And even in the marketplace, Jeremy, on the other hand, like he is very much unapologetically using his business to save souls. It's like, period. Like that's like what he's doing. The integration to me is unique. And Kymone, I know you're in the business space, and Jason, you have been an entrepreneur for a while. What are your thoughts about that? I know there are some people who are obviously multimillionaires and they don't serve God, right? And that would not be their answer. Their answer would be, I follow this practice, I do this, I work hard, I grind, I got a business coach. Jeremy is like, I gave my life to Jesus Christ. I ain't have no plan. I just wanted to make impact. That's all he kept saying. I just wanted to make impact, and boom, this happened. I just want to know what you guys' thoughts are about that.
Yeah. I mean, to me, what you just said there, that pursuing impact is the hallmark of his business. It's how can I help people? And I think that's what ministry is, right? Like ministry is serving people. Like we think sometimes ministry is confined to the church building. It's confined to a church office. It's confined to some role that we have. But ministry simply meant, how do I help people? And so when you hear Jeremy talk about going into schools, it's about how do I bring hope to students? And everything he talks about with even the people in his community who are now trying to be speakers or working on their speaking business, his heart is, how can I make impact in their lives? And if you are seeking impact, man, amazing things happen. Like that baptism, I think that is just the next step in how he's been serving them. Like, you're serving me, you're giving me all of this, man, show me the source of this. And if the source of this is God, well, lead me there. And I think that's what's so powerful about what he's doing.
Yeah, I agree. I agree 100%, man. I agree 100%. Like, it has to be impacting, has to be the center of everything that you do, and that's how your business will grow. Impact how my business has grown, things I've done on the side is just prayer, just continually keeping that in the middle of what I do and saying, what is my why? Why am I doing this? Why am I DJing and giving some of the proceeds to shelters and things of that nature? Because I want to go out and I want to impact the people with my gift as much as I can.
Yeah, there might be a correlation.
The impact piece. I was just saying the impact piece. Like, I don't want to oversimplify it because we know businesses are intricate, but just having an front and close and personal relationship with Jeremy, like, dude, I remember it was like 5 years ago. This dude was at our church and he's literally praying like to meet budget so he could pay his people, and even his wife wasn't getting paid. And literally he's just like, I just want to impact more people. And so, dude, if you're going to impact more people, you got to have more resources. I mean, for the guys that are listening, who, let's just be real, they want to make more money. What are the takeaways from Jeremy's experience? Can we even do that because it's such a faith story?
Yeah, one big thing that I just really want to just pound home on what he said, which is extremely important. You gotta have some good counsel, man.
Yeah, it's good.
You gotta have good counsel, and you gotta have people that been there, done that, and was successful. Been there, done that, and was successful. I know that you can learn a little bit from everybody, but getting experienced people in the field that you want to go in and seeking their advice, seeking their counsel, and getting some takeaways from them and applying it to what you want to do, that's gold. You got to get some counsel. You got to get some role models. You got to get some guys who you could turn to in that field that could give you some information that you may not have yourself.
Yeah, what were you going to say, Kymone? I know you had a thought earlier.
Yeah, no, I just think, tying impact and income together. Not that you're trying to impact people just so that you can make money, but the more people whose lives you impact, the more people who you help, the more people who you help to get what they need, man, I just believe like God is going to bless you. And then in terms of business, it's just a great business strategy. The more impact you make, the more your income can go up. So, yeah,
I just think so many of us, there's a lot of brothers out there, they've been compartmentalizing their whole life though, man. They keep because at the workplace, let's say, because Jeremy's an entrepreneur, but is there any correlation? Is there any application, if you will, with this? For just guys who have a job, they got a job, but you got rules at work. You can't be going, you can't be at work talking about Jesus. You can't be in there praying with people. How do you integrate your faith so that it,
Yeah. And I think that's a good question, because I think sometimes when we hear ministry or impact, we think prayer, we think baptism, right? Baptism, that's a stage. But man, if I'm on the job, how can I help the people on this job? I show up there, how can I help my coworkers, the people who I work with, the people who we serve through the business? Like, if you look at all of your life as ministry, then you realize, man, there are places I'm missing every day that I can help people. Somebody who may not get something the way I get it, and I understand it, and my natural reaction is to move and leave them alone. It's like, no, let me go back. Let me explain this. Let me help this person. Let me help that person on the call who might be irate, might be upset. Man, that's ministry right there. If I see all of my life as ministry, then I have opportunities to make impact more than I see before. And the more impact I make, man, like the sky's the limit in terms of even, doors opening, promotions, whatever. So,
yeah, there's a lot of people out there that are believers. They don't care. They believe within the work. Man, I had to go to the BMV this morning, man. And I'm just like, man, none of these people must love the Lord in here, man. Customer services, man. It's just horrible, man. But that's a good point. Like, it doesn't always have to be like praying with people, sharing a scripture, having a Bible study. I will say this, though. When you own your own business like Jeremy, you can do and say whatever you want whenever you want to. I mean,
Chick-fil-A.
That's pretty much why he's able to do what he's doing. I mean, It's his business. So if people don't want to hear about Jesus, then they can go to the next man who's teaching courses on. He says he's got a lot of people that are not religious that attend, but
let's not sleep on you living your life as an example. You living your life as a living example. People look at
like
you.
That's what you're doing right now. You're showing us that you're a family man.
I'm like, where did the wife go? She just bailed on me. But anyway, she just bailed. Man. Like, she was holding me down, and now she's just gone. But anyway,
what kind of example are you, man? You can't even control your wife.
But living your life as a living example, man. If people know that you're a believer and you're treating people right, and if you're doing the right things, if you're living your life of integrity in the right measures and manners, and you're handling yourself correctly, people will see you and people will say, oh, you know what? What's so different about him? How is he acting so differently and handling these situations a lot different than other co-workers? And they'll come to you and say, hey, man, what's going on with you? And that could be your chance to minister. Being a living example anywhere, work, home, whatever, will always.
And that's the point. Like, like you just said it, Myron, don't compartmentalize, man. My ministry, this is my ministry. No, every day you live, man, you're ministering. That's it.
It's a lot harder when you hate your job. There's just a lot of people out there, man. They hate what they're doing, man. That's why they need to come see you, Kymone, so they can figure out how to turn their ideas into life and monetize it. Because truthfully, man, I don't want to say Jeremy made it sound easy, because he didn't. He did give us the negative side, but just as to wrap it up, there's some brothers on here, they don't like where they are. They get a bad work environment. They don't like being there. My opinion, though, is that's probably, in those cases, are the opportunities for you to really bring God into your business and into your work are even greater because the environment is so difficult. It's like people are expecting you to act ugly. You got a reason to act ugly. You got a reason not to be social. You got a reason not to talk to people. You got a reason, you know, simply just go to work and come home. And that may be all that's required of you. But I don't know about you, man. But when I listen to Jeremy, honestly, I saw him go from, hey, look, I don't know how I need an extra $1,000, man, just so I can pay my workers, to multi-million-dollar. I ain't gonna lie. I know we shouldn't use God, but I want if serving the Lord is gonna bring millions.
Well, I mean, listen.
Why not? And promotion and blessing.
Listen. Let's not. There are a couple of things, right? Let's not miss excellence and being strategic. Like excellence is a great witness for God. Like Paul talks about that, man. Don't do your work slack. Don't be slack. Like excellence is witness. Like, man, this guy Joseph in the Bible, he did good work. People say, man, there's something about this dude. Not just he's a nice guy, but he works well. And I think whatever your hands find to do, man, even if it's not the thing you want to do it so well that even like you're preparing for the next thing you're supposed to get by doing this well. Even if you hate the job, man, do a good job on it.
That's good. That's good. Well, listen, fellas, man. Great conversation today. What you don't want to miss is you don't want to miss the 10,000 Praying Men event that's going down. And by the way, all this week, literally this week, as you're watching this, we're going to be live on Instagram. Just look out on my Instagram. I'm going live with ET. I'm going live with Jeremy. I'm going live with a other bunch of influencers. And we're going to be praying for people. And we're going to be talking more about, you know, what these guys are doing and how faith is involved. Fellas, look, we gotta move differently this year. And this is not for religious guys. You don't got to be a church guy. You don't got to be a pastor. You could just be a dude that just like, man, I need a blessing. I need something to work out for me, man. I got a lot on me. That's what this is for. This is for any brother like me and Kymone and Jason, man, who feel the stress and the weight of what it means to be a man. And come through, man. Go to the registration link, www.10kprayingmen.com. We out.
Thank you for listening to this episode of Get Your Shift Together Men's Podcast. For more information, please visit our website, menswinningscircle.com. That is, menswinningscircle.com. Let's win in the things that matter.